without such a hope, we are very bold.
What's going on? Steve Teel, Very Bold Radio and Podcast. Man, I'm excited. I got Coach Travis Bush. I don't even usually call you Travis. That's like the first time I said your name. It's always Coach Bush. Man, of the UTRGV Vaqueros. Can you say it the right way? Because I can't say it the right way.
Vaqueros.
Yeah, okay. All right. I'm trying. I'll try. How are you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm happy. This is big time to be on with Steve Teel. This is awesome. I'm fired up.
Let's go with that. This is big time.
It is.
You're big time now.
No.
I mean, this is crazy. This is crazy. How did this happen? You are the head coach starting a brand new Division I program. How did this happen?
I have no idea. I don't know. I mean, it's like we were talking. God has a plan and puts things in your life, and normally at the time, you're not expecting it, and as soon as you get comfortable, He's going to throw some kinks and things, and make sure you're not comfortable. But no, it's amazing how things work out, and such a blessing and an opportunity to start something again, to really work with some great people. There's some amazing people down there in the university and really in the Valley in general. But the people we work for down there at UTRGV are amazing. And I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna grow. I'm gonna be so much better from being around them. And but chance to be around family and had some health problems with my parents over the years, and now to have a chance to almost see them daily. And we've gone months, years, sometimes without seeing each other because of our profession. So it's really been an amazing experience, and we're really excited.
Yeah, man, that's great.
From a lot of levels, a lot of different levels.
Yeah, personal, family, I mean, all that, and D for D as well.
Oh yeah, and her to come back and be around her family as well. And so there's so many different aspects of it. It's it's truly God's plan.
Yeah, it is God's plan. I love it. Well, I want to tell people, I know we've got some good friends watching and everything, but I want to tell them a little bit about you. So I'm going to go on this camera. I'm going to go over here, Mark, for a second, just to say about Coach Bush, just some of his background, where he's coached, and starting going backwards, Canyon Cougars High School, and did a great, amazing job there, assembled an amazing staff, and just some fantastic success there. So I'm going to keep going. Before that, Seguin, and that's where I first got to meet you through Peanut Butter Bowl. And I was just, I got to be careful how I put my words, but I was really impressed. I've met a lot of great coaches, and every once in a while somebody will just really stand out. That's where I'm being careful with my words, because I don't want coaches saying, am I one of those guys? Yes, coach. But you really, just something about you was like, man, I like this guy, and I had heard about you before. I told you this one time through a common friend, Derek Ray, who you recruited his son, right, to UTSA or Texas State, one of those. I can't remember exactly, but
Texas State.
Oh, Texas State. Okay. So he had told me years ago, just, man, when our girls were playing club volleyball together, this guy is a great coach, great guy, I love him, these sort of things. And then it just got my antenna. And so I started following your career, saw you at UTSA, then saw you go to the University of Houston. So I'm bouncing around on the bio because Seguin, and before then, though, now I'm going to throw out some just random sort of times, but University of Houston, Texas State, TCU as a GA?
Yes.
Yes,
okay. That's where I started.
And the Marksman's very excited because you were on the Buffalo Bills staff for a year. He doesn't have a microphone going, but he would love to just jump on one, I bet, and have a bunch of questions. So, man, that is quite a career right there, just all the different opportunities that you had. And, of course, your dad is a legendary Texas high school football coach.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember where he is in the top 10 of wins, but he's there, right?
Yeah, he's I don't know where. I know he's got close to 300, somewhere between the 270, 270-something. But he 42 years as a high school coach, and has definitely earned his respect. And and I remember there was a time when I started working for him. I did first year. I did work at San Marcos High School first job. I always wanted to coach with him. Play for him, and wanted to coach for him. And there was a time, and there may be more now, but there was literally 40 of his previous assistants that were head coaches at that time in the state of Texas. That's the thing that he did probably the best, other than organization, was really groom his coaches and
That's crazy.
build a tree of assistant coaches that went on to be head coaches.
Oh man, I want to see that. I want to see that as a tree. I mean, that's crazy. That's so many coaches.
Yeah, and that was a long, and then there's others. Of course, I was one of them. When I became a head coach at Seguin, so that added to the list. But yeah, he's it's been amazing. That's that slot T mafia too that you hear about in the state of Texas.
So did he create the slot T?
I don't know. If you ask him, he probably says it. No, I think he, it was kind of back in the 70s. They, he was on staff with Doug Etheridge at Port Neches Grove. In fact, they won state in 1975.
Okay.
And I was born the day after.
No way. Okay.
Was,
okay.
The story from childhood, but that's. And then the next year he got his first head job, and but it was kind of created back then with those guys.
Okay,
and I believe that staff had a huge part of it.
Yeah. Okay. Your mom held off by one. I mean, she held off. Like she was not going to let you come into this world until they got through state. It sounds like.
Yeah, he made it back. I guess they had to drive a bus back from Texas Stadium, and then I think they got in about 3 a.m. I was born about 5, so it was.
Oh my!
Good timing.
Gosh, yeah, that's pretty great timing. So talk to me a little bit about what you learned from your dad as a coach. I want to talk about some of the influences that you've had. I know you've had many over the years to get where you are today, but just your dad himself. What sort of things do you share? Not the slot T. I know that much. Not the slot T.
Oh, yeah, and it goes back to being a child and growing up. Grew up in the field house and grew up in the side. Of course, back then, they worked so many more hours. They didn't have they had to watch.
There's no restrictions.
8 millimeter, 60 millimeter film. Or,
yeah.
But I remember, I used to just go to the field house because that was the only time I could see my father and hang out. And I would literally roll one of them carts back there and put that film together just to watch football games back then. But
wow,
and so there wasn't the technology resources we have now that kind of speed up what we do. But but growing up really in on the sidelines of, started out in FAR, but Alice in the 80s, in the tough culture they had, and that team in the 80s was known for, one of the toughest teams in the state, and really in the amazing group of coaches he put together and the kid, but watching those programs and the passion, the effort, and the tenacity, and the just really built my passion for football.
Really
coaching
did it.
Really at that age. And then we went on to Greg Portland. Greg Portland in the 90s, we were a powerhouse in the state, and we were ranked, and we'd always have our battles down there with Cal Allen, and went to the semifinals a couple of times, and
wow,
we played in the Astrodome. That was big time back then.
We
make it to the Astrodome. It was before the Alamo Dome was built, so everything was in the Astrodome. But just really. The work ethic, the details, the organization, the love for kids, the love for coaches, and really that passion for the game, and not just coaching football, but building men. And the way he structured the program, and the things we did, and the things you learn that is life lessons, and really that's what we've modeled our programs after. Is really it goes back to what they did, and I know I remember when he was a coach, he went up and got a lot from D.W. Rutledge, and drove up to Judson, and they'd hit Judson in the playoffs and get knocked out by them a couple times. But but that's where it all goes back, to the genuine roots, but really focusing on developing fundamentals and building men, and that's what we control. More than wins and losses, that's what we control on a daily basis as a coach.
Right. And, man, I've got to witness that firsthand just since, I live across the street from Canyon High School and got to be on the sidelines of several games and just watching you and your coaches, and then doing coaches outreach with you and your coaches, which has been phenomenal, doing weekly Bible study and just having a blast, just diving into God's Word with you guys. And then just watching you and your staff love those kids and interact with those kids in a really special way. It's definitely not just about football. You guys, as Coach Garcia would say, don't get it twisted. You guys are out to win, but man, you love those kids really well. That's a credit to you and your coaches.
Yeah, and that's you kind of, and we all start out young in our profession, and it's all about it's all about winning, and it's all about the next step, and I think you get to a point in your career, you realize that you've learned so much, and now the biggest part of our job is to give back and to teach,
Yeah.
and to help others be successful, help others grow, help others
Yeah.
become head coaches, et cetera. That's kind of, we kind of get to that point. I think that's where we're at.
Yeah, that is exciting. Well, I want to talk
But
about.
let's go back to you, because you've said all this about me, but you are one of the most influential men in my life, and I'm glad, I had a chance to brag on you a little bit, but glad that you popped in Seguin High School to talk about Peanut Butter Bowl one day, and that's led to a friendship, a respect, and our coaches' outreach. But I mean, you are the definition of energy. You're the definition of passion, and I want you to know I love you, and our staff loves you, and we're excited, for everything. You've been I don't know if we tell you enough how much you've influenced us, and we really thank you.
Well, man, I really appreciate that, and man, that's just a real blessing. So thank you very much. And I love what you've done at Canyon, and I love that Comal ISD is, put Coach Leonard, who you pretty much anointed. I open up my Herald Zeitung, and it's like, this is the guy. So I'm glad everybody saw it that way.
I didn't do anything. That was all. You know how it is. Coaches, head coaches, we get way too much credit. But the assistants do all the work, and that was amazing staff. They just let me make a decision every now and then, but they did all the work. Excited for Coach Leonard. He'll do 10 times better than I did. But that staff, is truly amazing. And again, go back to administration, great people. You've met Dustin Davis and Heather Sanders, Brian Martinez, all them. I mean, they are phenomenal people, and they make that place go. So it. But again, credit to those coaches and those kids and what they've done there.
Man, you just said something that spun off like 8 different questions that I have for you. One is and then I want to go back to your kind of coaching life, because I know that you've shared with me that, you started off young and here we go, and there was a transformation that happened along the way. So I definitely want to talk about that. And maybe we go there first, and then I want to talk to you about the staff that you're building for UTRGV. I know you've been able to make some hires. I think one more was just announced today. So
we're quadrupling our staff daily here. I think we've got 3 assistants, and of course John Simmons is our chief of staff and operations. So we got 5. We're 5 deep now, baby.
You're rolling deep. You're rolling deep, Coach Bush. So you want to talk about that, or do you want to go back and talk about kind of
some
show.
Of it? You tell me.
It's my show. Well, let's start with just going back to as you were developing as a coach, and just you were. I mean, that transformation that sort of took place at a certain point. I don't remember exactly when, but I know you kind of pivoted on your approach to coaching.
Yeah, there's a lot, and many different directions you can go, and excuse me, with with coaching, but had an opportunity to work with some amazing people. And started out there at TCU with Gary Patterson's first 2 years, and that staff was phenomenal. And David Bailiff, who brought me down to Texas State, was on that staff.
Okay.
And one of the greatest coaches I've worked for with Dick Winder, the late Dick Winder, and had a chance to learn from him, especially about coaching quarterbacks. And Mike Schultz, our offensive coordinator, and Dan Shaw. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, it's just guys that were there and had a chance as a young coach. And I think the good thing I had as a young coach, one, starting out working for my father, and then the guys that he had on his staff. Look at Jerry Vance, who went on to Liberty Hill, and Steve Van Ness, John Hahn, those guys, and they quickly let me know how much I didn't know out of college. You graduate college, you think you know everything, and you're this cocky young guy, and they quickly let me know I needed to go do laundry. I needed to put the equipment up, and so they had fun, putting me to work there and ragging on me. And then going to TCU as a graduate assistant, and back then there was one graduate assistant on each side of them, that was it.
I didn't know
now
that.
You look at the staffs, and there's quality controls and analysts, and of course they do so much more too. They have such a high workload, but we had to work. I mean, we worked our tails off, and you learn to work. And you had to be accountable for everything and learn so many different traits and so many different aspects, whether it's positions or recruiting and different phases of the game and of the organization. So really, just thankful and blessed to have the opportunities to learn all that, and then come down to Texas State and have the ability to start out there. And then you work alongside a guy, Tom Herman, who was our offensive coordinator when I was receivers coach. And really, I was just. And I got married. I remember getting the first full-time job, making I was banking, making $32,000 a year, and so I decided to go get married and have kids. What else do you want to do? But
right.
And Dee will attest to it. Early on in our marriage, and then she knows, and she's been behind me the whole way, and
right.
especially back then when I was just trying to grind and work and learn, and I'd sit up there with Tom Herman, till 1, 2 in the morning at night, just picking his brain. He'd be sitting there watching film, game planning, and I'd just pick his brain and just seeing how much I can learn. But she was allowing that, and to be able to have that opportunity there, and really all of that combined is what helped me be able to take over as a coordinator there for the first time in 07.
07, yeah, wow.
So, and you kind of go through time, and you've. Again, you've worked so hard to grind and just get that next step and about the game, and then you kind of get to a point where you're really getting down on losses, and really it just boils down to wins and losses. And I remember that having some good conversations with Dee, and I guess it was 2009. And of course, both our boys are growing up, but we recommitted our lives to Christ and got rebaptized there in Kyle. And I think through all that transformation and having kids, that's what changed your mindset in coaching. It wasn't about wins and losses anymore. It became about family and about helping kids and helping coaches and helping other people, and really just and you learn that there's so much involved in the wins and losses out of your control. And you're focused on what you can control every day, and that's what you teach, how you teach, what you model for these young men. Because you look back and how many coaches were influences on our life, and now we have the opportunity to be that influence on them. And I remember my dad talking about it one time, because I remember some guy came up. It was one of his former players, and said hello, and then he was like, I can't even remember who that is. Like, how do you not remember who one of your players is? And he was like, well, I've had 10,000 players. They've had one head coach. That I was their only head coach.
Wow.
So that goes back, and that's when you realize the impact of the hundreds or thousands of through your career of young men that you could have a positive or you can have a negative impact on. So that's really when I think that time when the mindset of the way we coach and how we coach and what we're meant to do changed about that time.
What did it look different like in the way that you coached, if you don't mind me asking? Maybe that's one of those dumb questions. How did it look different as you look back on your career? I mean,
I do remember one instance, because we were playing Southeast Louisiana. We're at Texas State, and it was a battle, and I think we were up pretty good in the game, and we were up, I don't know, we were about like 24 points in the fourth quarter. You know? And so, like, we're already putting the twos in. We're running this thing out. Well, they come back, and they score 3 times, go for 2, tie it up. We go to overtime.
What?
And so they go in, they score in overtime, and we get the ball back, and we go right down the score. And I remember, because I was up in the box calling the play, so we score. I remember looking out the window. We scored. I was like, all right, we're up first, and over in the next overtime, and I remember looking down, and I hear a thunk, and we missed the extra point.
Oh my gosh!
And we lose 51-50. After being up 20 in the fourth quarter.
Wow!
And that was kind of a huge point in that 09 season, and I remember, like, I was like, oh well, okay, well, it's over. I went down and found the kicker and and grabbed him. I said, hey, you're gonna win. You're gonna have a game-winning field goal for us this year. You keep your head up. And I think I went home and I cut the grass. I mean, and that's when my wife's like, you just got beat, whatever, and you're cutting the grass and cooking barbecue. And I said, that there's things that are out of our control. And and obviously you look back from the coaching side, you're like, well, we could have done some things different, but you learned that, hey, that was the way it's meant to be. And I think the next week we drive out to northwestern Louisiana. And, it boils down to another fourth quarter battle. And we kick a field goal, last play of the game to win 20-17. Yeah.
What?
And that kicker comes up to me and goes, you told me last week in the locker room we were going to have a game-winning field goal. And I still talk to that young man till this day. He still remembers that time. But
words matter.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, words really matter. Man, way to go. That's a huge win.
Yeah, and then I guess that was a year or two, and out of the blue, Larry Coker calls at the end of the season.
How did that happen? Yeah. How did Larry Coker? You don't know?
I don't know. he called. I was like, no, really, who's this? This is my friend playing a trick on me. But no, so yeah, that's when Larry Coker calls at the end of the season and said, hey, would you be interested in talking to us about coming to UTSA? And,
what the heck?
And that's where that one started. So.
All right. So Texas State, I mean, you have a bunch of success as the OC, a very young OC, but you said you learned a lot from Coach Herman, that you were able to apply that then as an OC, it sounds like.
Yeah. And worked with some good people again.
Yeah.
Got to put together a staff. Ben Norton was a huge, and he really helped me a lot. He's an experienced offensive line coach, but best I've been around.
Okay.
And we really worked together. We were co-coordinators. We worked together.
Okay.
Again,
I got you.
We were a good team. Really rejoined ourselves at Seguin. I got a chance to hire him the last 2 years at Seguin.
What?
And,
okay.
So we
wow.
got the band back together for a couple years.
Exactly.
But, and hired Kevin Brown, Charlie Reeve, who's now the head coach at Victoria East. Kevin Brown just went to Bernie Champion. He was at UTSA. So great staff.
Okay.
There, Mike Borello was I think the other guy on the offensive side. He was a tight ends guy, but it was a great staff that we were able to work with. Had a lot of fun.
Okay.
And good guys. Had a great quarterback, Bradley George, there, who's a New Braunfels Canyon grad.
That's awesome. You just got to induct him in the Texas State Hall of Fame, right?
Yes.
You were presenting him or something. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was a Canyon Cougar. I mean, it came back to me when I saw it. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he's so. But great student athlete. I mean, he pitched in the minor leagues for 4 years out of high school. I mean, he had a rocket arm. So we were able to do a lot of stuff in the basket game with him. But it was good times. It was good. Great experience, alma mater, and like you said, and then God just throws a kink. You get comfortable, and he throws a kink at you. And here we go. Then we're off to UTSA.
A lot of people turn down those kinks. I mean, you're allowed to say no, but what was it about this opportunity at UTSA that you said, yeah, let's go?
I remember going back because I talked to Dee about everything, and I remember going back and forth, and I was like, well, it's maybe it's time for something different. And you kind of feel like you need something different. And when I started coaching in 2000, Larry Coker was winning national championships in Miami.
Yeah.
And so I've always respected him and followed him and his programs, and so the opportunity, I felt like, it goes back to, and I was like, well, surely, we're starting a program from scratch. I mean, surely we're going to learn something that's going to pay off in the future,
That's crazy.
I remember telling that. I was like, surely if you start a program from scratch, there's got to be something that's going to help us get better, and it may come back and help us in the future.
No way.
Yeah, I remember having that conversation.
Oh, my gosh. That is amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. So you make that. We'll talk more about that for sure, because what a benefit now in starting. I mean, that's crazy to imagine that you said that. That's really cool. All right. So you go with Coach Coker. How long were you at UTSA, and what are some things you learned? A few things that you're able to apply now as you're starting UTRGV football.
Well, you have patience. If you start a program, there's a lot of patience involved, because there's just, especially when it's new to the university, there's a lot of things that are new, a lot of kinks. Not kinks, it's just growing. Yeah. Our athletic director, Chase Kong, puts it, the best with it's like birthing a baby, and you've got to, and I don't think you're ever really ready. I think it's like like being a father or you being a husband. You can study and learn from everyone all you want, but until you do it, you got to figure some stuff out. Yeah. And so it's it was a learning process. I enjoyed it. It really this time, like the time now, when you don't have, which I'm gonna do a better job of utilizing. I think this time around is. You have an opportunity to do things that you don't normally do as a coach, because you're always working. You're we're not every other college in spring training right now. We're not. Yeah. Yeah. But what we're having the ability to do is go watch spring trainings. We were at UTSA's practice last Wednesday.
Nice.
I'm going to spend 3 days with Tom Herman at Florida Atlantic in 2 weeks. We're going to have the ability, and our staff is doing the same thing. So you got the time to to go study, kind of reevaluate everything you do, and really kind of, it's almost like a redshirt year as a coach. Yeah, that's good. And you get a chance to grow and get better. So when you do get kids on campus, we're doing it better. We're all on the same page, and you got a chance to really put a good plan together. Yeah. So also liked the fact I thought it made me a better coach because you had to coach more, especially with a young team. And college football is a little different than it was, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But when you're starting a team with just freshmen, then you really had to coach, and really you had to teach them everything because normally a freshman class comes in and they got the sophomores, juniors, seniors to show them how to do everything. Well, when you sign a class here, they are the seniors.
Yeah.
You're signing freshmen, and we got to be the seniors as coaches.
That's
we
right. Yeah.
We got to show them how they're supposed to study and manage, balance their time. So I really like the plan of you don't play games for that first year, so you bring a class in. You just practice, which gives you that time to educate them on college life and that balancing act of college and athletics, and they don't have the pressures of playing games or trying to compete for traveling and things like that, and really hopefully get them started with a good GPA and start out on the right track academically, and really gives a chance to focus on a lot of those things.
Man, okay, that's good stuff. All right, I want to come back to UTRGV. But you go from UTSA, you're there how long about? 2
years. So
2
the
years.
Practice year and then just the first season we played.
Okay, all right. And then you get an opportunity to go to the University of Houston. How does that come about? And is that another thing you just felt like, okay, it's the right move?
Well, we were really at that time, the up-tempo air raid offense was really, really taking over.
Yeah.
And it was really kind of the time I was at the end of Tech State. We started doing some of it, but we got to UTSA. We really weren't ready for it yet.
Yeah.
But I thought after that first year, we were kind of ready to start making the jump. Had a great quarterback with Eric Sosa.
Oh, he was
really
great.
good skill kids there.
Yeah.
So in fact, I was already meeting with Kingsbury and some people on getting some ins and outs of the air raid. Well, that was when. When they left and went to A&M, and Coach Tony Levine, who coached me in college at Southwest Texas years ago, got the head job. And it was about 11 o'clock at night, sitting in bed, and he sends me a text. He's like, hey, do you know anyone that'd be a good receiver coach here? I was like, me?
That's great.
It was just an opportunity, really, because it was. I went over there as a running back coach, and for me, it was again a learning process.
Yeah.
The best way to learn the air raid is get in the air raid.
Yeah.
And really get in there. So that was the reason for going over there, was to get involved in that offense, which would only expand the knowledge I've had,
right,
and help me bring some stuff to the table.
Right. All right. So you go over there. When do you get promoted? Like, how many seasons are you at the U of H?
3 years.
3 years. All right. You go over not as offense coordinator.
It was running back coach.
Running back coach.
Yeah.
Is it that first season that
first
you get
game,
promoted first game?
After the first, it's just one of those situations where the head coach made a change after the first game, and I got thrown into the fire there after game one. So it's like,
game one.
You learn fast when you got to jump in the deep end.
I want to hear more about that, because to me that's like something maybe you see like on a Friday Night Lights TV show or a movie, and it's like that doesn't happen in real life. I mean, you guys, first game, you lose to your alma mater when you're the running backs coach. So that's a pretty big upset. The offense struggled. And then you become the offense coordinator, and that offense turns it around. You guys wind up, top 20 in the nation in offense or something crazy? Like, how do you go from not being able to complete a pass and get a first down to, how did you do that in a week?
There's really no pressure.
Nowhere to go but up.
I think I look back, because we came back, and the next week it was the first time to have a chance to call that offense, and I was really like a kid. And I remember I still tell Coach, man, I was just calling stuff. I had no clue what I was calling. I was just going down the list, dialing stuff up, and it was working.
It was just working.
No, we did. We set some NCAA records. We had 77 pass attempts. We were like 50-something to 77. And I think we had the most pass attempts with no interceptions at that time.
Oh my gosh!
And we ran like 120 plays in regulation. I think La Tech ran about 100. We had the most plays run in regulation. I mean, we were both going just phenomenal fast. I mean, it was back and forth. But I was just having fun. I was like, man, I finally get a chance to call this. I've been studying this offense for so long, and I was just, but we had the system was in place. Those players knew exactly what to do. I mean, it wasn't anything I did. It's just, there was no pressure. I wasn't trying to. You were just calling plays, man. It was fun. You know,
It was something you did. How do you go? Like, I mean, I want to. When he calls you in and says, "Okay, you're going to be the OC now." I mean, what was that meeting like? Just give me something. I want to go in that room and.
I don't know if I can get into those details, but
Well,
no, I remember I was like, you know, it was just, I mean, it was, you know, just like I said, it was adversity, and you know, as we teach our guys all the time, you attack hard things and you don't fear it, and you figure out solutions and you figure it out, and that was kind of the mentality.
Yeah. I cannot wrap my head around like going from a game where the offense really struggles enough to make a change that it seems like to me like to go from that and just kind of get things improved, but you guys went from that to, I mean, you know, top 20 setting records and crazy things like that.
Yeah, we had I think we finished 5-6 or 5-7. We didn't make a bowl game that year, but we lost some close ones. And you know, and it came down to me. And we had some adversity on the, you know, throughout that first year. You know, it was, you know, one of our players, DJ Hayden, had that, you know, injury in his heart at practice, and almost, you know, had open heart surgery after practice one day. It was, you know, he was a blessing to survive that. Went on getting drafted after, you know, that next year as well. But you know, so there was a lot of things that first year. But it was no, we had a good staff, good group, like I said, you know, good. And I think that relief of pressure, you know, it's just kind of sure there's no pressure. It's kind of like, again, okay, you're an interim OC, and everyone kind of, you know, we had fun. We started making things fun, and we just, you know, everyone just had a blast.
How did you make them fun? Give me a story or example of how you made it fun.
I don't know. Everyone had fun at Houston. Everything was fun over there. That crew, I think that in the staffs, you know, previous to us, were, you know, they really learned to have fun. So I think I probably learned more to have fun when I was going to Houston. Okay. Because you know, that culture there was to work hard and have fun, and you know, they were explosive offenses, and they were you know, really took pride, you know, being in the third ward of Houston, and really, you know, bought into that effect. So you know, it was a good time there. Yeah. And again, you know, regardless, you go to 2 straight bowl games, we get fired. You know, the staff gets fired. But that's a profession we chose. You know, that's college football. But looking back, when it changed it, opened my eyes to a lot of things. But you know, in the other coaches, the assistant coaches, had an opportunity to work for and learn from. Again, everything. Everybody you come in contact with is an opportunity to learn and get better. So thankful for those experiences.
You're always learning, aren't you? You're always learning.
I learn from you every day. I'll tell you that.
What
be
not
like
to
you
do.
When I grow up.
What not to do.
I've told you that.
All right, so I didn't remember that year 2 and year 3, you go to bowl games, offense prolific, but then you guys get let go at the end of year 3, season 3. I didn't remember that.
We were probably, you know, we had some struggles offensively that third year, and we were in between. You know, had made some quarterback changes. We were really good on defense. And Coach Gibbs and Coach Spavital did a great job defensively. I remember that, and I learned a lot from them as well. But and really going back now, year 2. Co-coordinated with Doug Meacham. So we brought Doug Meacham in. So he had been Oklahoma State, you know, into TCU and Kansas. So he was another guy, you know, really who probably taught me a lot about the offense. You know, similar to what Coach Herman did back at Texas State. So, you know, so great opportunity there to learn from him. And then that third year, he went to TCU, and then I took over. And you know, you know, we're still growing with some new guys in positions and things like that, and I was still growing again as a coordinator, but you know, could have done some things better and different, but you know, regardless, that's college football. But you know, you win 8 games, go to a bowl game, and win a bowl game, and but you know, but that's the profession. And that's again. You know, we chose it, and that's the way it goes.
So it's never really a complete surprise, even when you win 8 games in your bowl game. I mean, you just know it can happen.
Oh yeah. Yep. We chose it.
All right. What happens next in your career? Is that when you go to the Bills, or is that?
It is. And that was kind of you know, at that point, and that was when I really did, you know, not many people know, I did struggle at that time when we got let go. And it was kind of, you know, really burnt out, and you kind of, you question some things, and you look at yourself, you look hard at yourself. And I remember there was times where, you know, I talked to my wife, like, do I even need to be coaching anymore? You know, because if you hadn't gone through that, sometimes it can be hard. But, fortunately as a coordinator there, I was still on contract for another year.
Okay.
So I really didn't pursue anything job-wise that hard, and I remember that. And so I told my wife, I said, well, you know what, we've always talked about becoming a high school coach. And when our boys are going to get into high school, and so Trey's a year away, I said it's going to work out good. Yeah. I'll be a dad this year. I hadn't been a dad in a while, so I'll be a dad for this year, and and then we'll go see what's in the high school game.
Wow.
And so, but then
that was the plan at that point.
Yeah. So I started coaching Ty's little third grade basketball team, and then was going to Trey's track meets and basketball games, and for me, you realized how much I'd missed. And I missed all this for so many years, and I missed these games, and I remember I was like, it's I guess we kind of talk about saying, hey, ain't doing anything. I can get used to this. I get used to being a dad, and really, I was coaching Ty's. I think that spring's his 7-on-7 league, fourth grade 7-on-7, and we were air raiding the heck out of it. We were running mesh, we were running stick, and I remember, and we were. But I'd go out there and I'd get so frustrated with these fourth graders, and Dee would be like, "They're just fourth graders." I'm like, "This, I know, but I come from a world when I say something, people do it, and when I say stuff, they don't do it, and I don't know why they don't do it." But we had fun. I remember Ty was a little quarterback. We were rolling in fourth grade 7-on-7 in the spring. But and that deal with Buffalo kind of popped up, and we talked to Dee. I said, well, we'll see where this goes, and if it goes, I'll go up there and give it a shot, and if not, then I'll just be a dad. And then sure enough, it worked out about May, and knew it was a 1-year deal, and went up there and learned as much as I could in a year, and then came back and got into high school.
Wow.
And all worked out timing-wise because Trey was a freshman.
Yeah.
Went to Seguin, and I had the ability to coach him there, and then Ty was a freshman when we came to New Braunfels.
Right.
And so now he's still got 2 years left. So now there's another kink, Yeah. So that was the plan, was to stay in high school till Ty graduated, which is 2 more years. Yeah. And then see what happens next.
I didn't know that was the plan.
Yeah, God didn't have that plan.
Yeah. How did this UTRGV thing even kind of, did you throw your hat in the ring? Did somebody reach out? What can you tell us about that? I don't know how much of that is public knowledge and how that works.
They reached out, and that's I remember. And then there's some good stories. And I've known our athletic director Chase Conk. I've known him 4 years. His father is a college coach for years, and we back at Texas State, we'd go against them. They were in our conference and had some good battles with him, and then. At UTSA, I recruited Zach Conk, which is Chase's brother, to UTSA, and so drive from San Antonio to Little Rock, to recruit him, and but got to meet Chase there, and then he was a young admin, kind of coming up the ranks there in administration, but you could tell he's brilliant and sharp, and then what he did over there as the athletic director at UA Little Rock.
Okay, that's where he was.
And then down to RGV. He's done a phenomenal job. So there was a connection there. Yeah. And he kind of touched base a couple of times during the year, and I thought he's just checking in, because there's some jokes. He'd be texting about hey, congratulations, y'all did a good job, and I'd be like, hey, thanks. He'd kind of laughs about it, thinking I wasn't interested. But anyway, after the season,
so he had you in mind.
After the season,
wow.
He kind of they kind of I got a call about if I was to be interested, and so again,
is that from him then at that point or someone else?
Yeah, it was kind of it was kind of a consultant at that point.
Okay, got it. Yeah, that makes sense.
But and so in really again, in talking to my wife, I was like, well, they're not going to hire me for this job, and so I was like, well, if anything, maybe we can get an interview and get a chance to interview, and then and get you prepared for something later.
Experience for the future, yeah.
And so, and there was a couple of rounds of interviews, and then it got to about the third round where it was an in-person deal, and I remember it was I guess the finalists, one of the four. Well, I don't know how many finalists, but I was like, well, we have a conversation with Ty because that was the plan. So that and every decision's a family decision. So we talked to Ty, and I remember telling him, hey, this thing came up, and I know this guy. I have great respect for him. I said, so if you don't want me to go, if you want me to stay here and coach you, I'm not going to waste their time.
Wow.
You know,
Dang. Talk about a dad move.
And
wow.
He took about 24 hours. And then he came back. He said, "Yeah, go
were you
give
sweating it a little bit? Like, man,
no,
you
get like I said, everything's part of the plan.
That's awesome.
And so I wasn't worried about it, and it would have been great either way. And
yeah,
but I knew I too much respect for Chase to waste their time. And when Ty said, "No, go for it," and I was like, "All right, well then let's go full throttle and let's see what we can do." And then as it got closer, I was like, "Hey, this thing might really happen." And I remember talking to Ty again. I was like, "Hey, are you sure?" But again, it works out to where
good for Ty.
we're not going to play games for 2 years,
right?
So I'm at least not going to miss a game,
right?
Of one of Ty's games wherever he's at. So it's just funny how things work. But you may never get this opportunity. Opportunities come around, and as they all have, like you said, and sometimes that you can't be afraid to go get uncomfortable and try something new.
Right, man, exciting, man. That's impressive. I think that you included the whole family. I mean, especially Ty, and recognizing just the compassion of your heart as a dad for your boys. I think that's really, really fantastic.
Well, you know him, you know Ty. He was like, go ahead, because I'll play for you in college.
Good. Well, man, that's awesome. That's awesome. And that speaks a lot about you as a dad, too, that, not every son wants to play for their dad. And, I mean, he's like, yeah, no problem. I love it. That's really cool. You guys have a special relationship, huh?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. That kid's an athlete.
Yeah, he's tough.
He's tough.
He's a competitor, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, he is. I've seen him knock some kids over going back to his freshman year. Like, man, he does not mind dishing it out.
Yeah.
He does not. So is he going to stay on the defensive side of the ball? Do you know? I guess that's
think so.
Okay.
I think that's kind of he growing up in youth football there in Katy. He's got that linebacker build. He was always kind of a fullback linebacker.
Okay.
And I guess when we got to Seguin in junior high, well, even there, in youth football, he played fullback linebacker, but. In seventh grade, they put him at quarterback because he could throw, knew the offense, and so he kind of and he was doing good in seventh, eighth, and even ninth grade coming over here at Canyon. And of course, this year he was backup quarterback through scrimmages. Yeah. And then because Deuce was out, and when Deuce came back, and they needed some help on defense, so we moved him over to linebacker week one.
Right.
And this is about the third series of the first game. I look over and he's out there playing defense. I get on the headset. I was like, guys, I don't have to play him. Don't think you have to play him. And like, no, coach, he's pretty good.
He's pretty good.
It's like, all right, I guess. But no, then the more, because it's hard, as a play caller, you're into the game, but your mind is focused on the next series of what you're going to call. So I really didn't, have a lot of times where you could actually study and watch the defense. I'm just kind of there and going back and forth. And I remember I hear his name. I was like, Ty's in there. He made a sack. All right, good job. But no, it was fun. It was a good year. I think there was probably less pressure on him too. There's a lot of pressure.
That's a good point.
If you're a coach's son, there's enough pressure on you already. Yeah. If you're the head coach's son, there's even more pressure on you as a quarterback. Yep. And if you're not the best one, there is just too much. I mean, there's a lot of pressure. Right. So I think, and it really helped him. I think he went over there and he had more fun on you. He wasn't really having fun because I was, so hard on him, which I am on quarterbacks. You're hard on them, but. I'd have to come home and hear it again from D at home, and
what did D say?
I can't believe you yelled. We threw 3 interceptions. What do you want me to do? And just being a mom, So once I think he was on the deep. We all had a lot more fun and could relax a little more. So things work out the way they're supposed to.
Oh, that's good.
But now he does some really good things instinctively there. Defensively, of course, Coach Deason, Coach Garcia, the whole defensive staff, they did a great job developing him over the year. Yeah. He really loves those guys and has fun with them.
Yeah, well, that's good. All right, talk to me about quarterbacks. How hard are you on quarterbacks? Because you had a pretty good one. And Deuce Adams, how hard are you on quarterbacks?
Well, it's kind of all relative. Probably not as hard
as
I used to be.
I guess I could get Deuce on the line.
Ask Eric Sosa or John Simmons or Bradley George. Those guys, they'll tell you. I've kind of eased up a little bit, but I think you kind of. It's all relative to what they can handle. But, you know,
Okay.
going back to what I learned from Dick Winder, you know, you coach them like linebackers. And I think really one thing we always do, and we coach them really, really hard, you know, really up until we get to the season. Then you got to let them play. But
Okay.
you want to put as much pressure on them as possible, especially when you're
Okay.
trying to figure out who the guy's going to be. And there's just no substitute for experience, especially at that position.
Yeah.
So trying to manufacture as much pressure situations, you know,
Okay.
even if it's just daily basis stuff, getting in front of everybody, you know, commanding that room, commanding leader, putting them in those situations to really develop their mindset. And it's really a toughness mindset. You can't let a bad play get to you. You can't let a good play get to you. You've got to just, I mean, you've got to be like, you know, I always so you got to think like me. You got to be like the offense coordinator. You got to think like the play caller, like the head coach. You can't. You know, you are the head coach, and you jump in that huddle. Everyone's looking to you.
Right.
You know, so if you exude confidence, they're going to be confident. You
Right.
come in, they're scared. You know, if they see something in your eyes or you look
Right.
panicky, they're going to panic as you would if
Yeah.
the head coach was panicking. So, really, just trying to teach all the things really that you know, all the things that aren't physical. You know, and try to and be as demanding as you can.
Yeah.
You know, and really, I would always just, you know, there would be times and early on, it really springtime there. Why do you yell at them so much? And sometimes you just manufacture stuff. You want to yell at them, or I'd get mad at them. They may be doing everything perfect, but you want to see how they're going to handle it. You know, you try to get under their skin. Can you? You know, who's gonna panic under pressure?
Yeah.
Who's gonna just blow you off and let show you what they can do? That's what Deuce did. You know, Deuce was really good about that. I tried to get on. He'd look at me like, yeah, watch this. You know. Well, yeah, here you go. But that's what you want. You want them to have that mentality. You don't want them to get down on themselves or, and go in the tank and then their performance suffers. You want them to have that. There's a fine line between confidence and cockiness, I feel, like a quarterback, and you need to be right on that line. And you need to walk on the field thinking you're the best player on the team,
right?
You know, and the best player on the field, and that you're going to take that ball with 1 minute left and drive it right down the field and score it.
Right.
And which we did several
times.
Deuce did several times. So.
Several times, man. That's amazing. Okay, when I've got a question just about mental toughness. Like, I mean, what is that ability when you get a young man? Some of them just come with kind of a innate sort of mental toughness, and then others maybe don't have it, and so you got to deal with them a little bit differently to get them up.
It's and it goes into, you know, as coaches, we're teachers, and you gotta look at your students and really find you know, how you're going to get this student to learn, how you're going to get them to be tough, you know. So there's other ways. Like there's guys you can really get on, and there's some you can't, you know, and then you got to build them up, whereas others you got to keep them down. But it's a balancing act, but everything we did in our program was all about mental toughness and really, you know, handling situations, dealing with adversity, attacking hard things, not fearing. You know, we live in a world where nobody wants to get out of their comfort zone. You know, nobody wants to do hard things, and you know, if things aren't going their way, they want to go try something new. You know, so really trying to build that mindset that's you know, really embracing that process part that goes into our, you know, win today mentality. It's everything is about today and focusing on today and being the best you can be and competing. And you know what, if it doesn't go your way today, well, there's tomorrow, you know, and tomorrow becomes today. But it's, you know, and really just building that mindset of really handling, overcoming adversity and being able to, you know, to stay calm and when the bullets are flying. Yeah.
All right, let's shift and talk about UTRGV. Are you going to? Do you plan to be the offensive coordinator, or are we going to Lincoln Riley this thing? What do you know yet? What? Okay.
Nope, I don't know. I don't know. I do. I enjoy running. You know, calling offense, running the offense. I have fun with it. It's the funnest part of my day. I don't know yet. At this level, it's kind of, you know how it is at this level. I always joke about. I said, well, it's hard to fire yourself if you're calling the plays, you know.
We've seen that. I'm not going to name any schools. I wouldn't do that to any of my friends around the state. But we've heard about that.
No, but we're you know, we'll have an offensive coordinator in the next round of hires in December, and ideally, I'd like to work closely with it, but really turn it over probably.
Okay.
and be able to be a head coach. I love special teams. I really would.
I didn't know that.
I played in all special teams in college. I was a captain of special teams. I've always loved special teams. So my dream would be to be able to be really involved in the special teams, which allows you to work with the entire team, offense and defense. Sometimes you're, as a head coach, if you're tied to one side of the ball, there's some animosity with the other side. They think that you only care about one side. So I really want to make sure that we do a good job by the team and being the best head coach I could be.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. That's exciting. I think that's a lot of wisdom. I mean, you're a smart guy. So, and I have seen you over the last couple of years. I mean, you're drawing plays like all the time, man. It's really fun to watch. But that sounds like a very wise thing.
I just got to find a coordinator to think like me, and then we're pretty good.
Yeah. How do you find that? I mean, and how many people reach out to you and send you, their resume or say, "Hey, coach, I'd be interested." I mean, are you hearing from dozens or hundreds or, how does this work?
Yeah, there's been a lot of interest. I mean, from a lot of people at a lot of levels that want to be a part of it, and it's a great opportunity.
Yeah.
They know it could be something special.
Right.
I mean, you look at where UTSA is now.
Yeah.
And where we started 10 years ago. So I mean, to have an opportunity to be a part of that. There's a lot of interest. So and excited about the guys we got on board right now, and the guys we got hopefully coming later.
Okay. Well, tell me about some of the guys that you brought on board.
Well, me, they're all kind of strategic. So it's the first one was John Simmons. He's going to be our football operations director. Did a great job. So John, New Braunfels High School grad. I was watching him when I was recruiting at Texas State. So he was on our original team at UTSA. Okay. So he was a quarterback. He was in the quarterback room. I didn't remember that. Okay. He's had some tail chewed by me several years ago in the quarterback room there, but phenomenal leader, phenomenal person, way smarter than me. But he adds that dynamic. He went through what our guys are going to go through as a student athlete, so he can give them that experience that nobody else can. Yeah. He went on to, with Coach Bailiff at Rice, was operations, recruiting chief. I mean, wore all kinds of hats there. Okay. He was involved when they built their football facility there, so he was, so he adds a lot of value coming on the staff. And he's done a phenomenal job already. Really? That's why he was the first one. Yeah, we brought down because he does a lot of the off-field stuff. And really. He's going to help me a lot. I'm going to learn from these people. I'm not coming here with a lot of answers on some things or some things we got to figure out. And he's definitely done a great job of that. Yeah, so far. Great. Did hire defensive coordinator. Yeah, that's huge. Brian Gamble. What's the strategy there? What's goes back. I think John's the one that figured it out. But his dad was a Texas high school coach too, and his dad and my dad are right there with the wins together. Oh, okay. We're gonna look this up. So Lucky Gamble back, he played for him at Alto, and he played linebacker at A&M. He's part of the wrecking crew. Was a linebacker there back in the late '90s. In fact, I think the first year I was at TCU, we played A&M in the Astrodome. I think it was the last game in the Astrodome. Oh, wow. In the Gallery Furniture Bowl. Oh. And he was playing for A&M. He's playing linebacker there for that year. But he's coached at a lot of levels, from D1 to junior college. He was on the original staff at Incarnate Word. Oh, okay. So when they started their program, he was on that original staff. So he's gone through this as a coach. He had to order all their equipment, which we're about to do. And so he's gonna add a lot of value there. But been around a lot of different schemes. Very smart, good defensive coach, and really for us schematically, everyone's keep asking, hey, are you going to be a 3-4 or 4 down? What are you going to run offensively? And I've always believed your scheme is your personnel, and I think not knowing yet what our personnel is going to be, I think we got to have the ability to be versatile and be multiple. So we'll have a package that's a 4 down and 3 down. Whatever the best we can. We can put on the field there. We can tailor fit to our personnel. But he's a phenomenal coach, and brought in Adrian McDonald, secondary guy. So Adrian played for us at Houston. He was a high school quarterback. High school quarterback turned safety. Part of those great defenses we had there at Houston those years. And I think he still holds the record for most interceptions in the season. 17 interceptions. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. And then so. coach I work with at Buffalo took the head job for San Diego Chargers, right before they left to L.A., Anthony Lynn. So I went out to minicamp in 2017. And of course, Amax there, Adrian's there playing. So he got drafted by the Chargers.
Wow.
He had a chance to catch up with him there. But, follow his career. He worked under Zach Spavital there and worked with Gamble at Texas State.
Okay.
And then has been at Midwestern State. But, really recruiting at smaller levels, you really got to be a grinder.
Yeah.
Because you've got to work harder. You've got to evaluate a little better. You're not getting the 5 stars. You've got to look at running backs to play safety. Things like that. And he's a high school quarterback turned safety that went to. That changed positions and got a chance to go to the NFL. So really adding that value, because we're going to be in a position where we're going to have to project young men, that might be high school quarterbacks or running backs, to play some other things. So he's an example, I think, as well of, you can do this and you can still go to the next level.
Now that sounds like Gary Patterson. I mean, he built a whole program out of taking quarterbacks and putting them a linebacker, defensive line, and wherever.
No doubt.
That's good.
And then last one we're bringing in here right now is Jeff Bowen, offensive lineman. So he played for us.
Was that just announced today? Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he played for us at Texas State. Probably the toughest guy I knew.
Toughest guy. You've known a lot of tough men.
He's tough. Transferred from. He comes in this little pudgy center, transfer from East Texas Baptist, and if he's watching, he's laughing because he knows, and sure enough, he tries out, he makes a team, but he earns a spot. I mean, he's a little bulldog. Nobody was going to be tougher than him.
Yeah.
He earned a spot, earned scholarship, was an All-American.
Wow.
And then the last 2 years we were really. Good offensively. We're top of the nation in offense and total offense. And, he led that offense as a center, as an undersized center.
Crazy.
And remember that last year he played half the season with a broken snapping hand and 3 slipped discs in his back and never missed a snap. Couldn't. Yeah. I mean, he is tough. Like, I mean, you'd watch him walk off the field in between series. I didn't think he was going to make it to the bench, but he'd sprint back out there the next series and he'd fight his tail off. And
wow.
And, but again, Ben bounced, he GA'd for us there at UTSA, so he was a part of that. Yeah. And then he was, kind of in the FCS Division II, worked up to a coordinator there in Northeast Oklahoma. But really, again, just a grinder.
Yeah.
And that's what in this original staff we've got to have grinders. Because there's a lot of different things we've got to do and a lot of different duties and. It's going to be 5 of us on the road recruiting instead of 12 like every other school in the nation this spring. So but great staff. There's a connection with everybody. Yeah. But I think the bottom line, tough competitors with great work ethic. Yeah. That's what we want to build in our young men, and that's what we want to hire on our staff. So that's what we got.
That's good. All right. Last question or series of questions. Talk to me about what you think recruiting is. Are you okay on time?
Oh, I'm good.
Okay.
Steve Teel, I'm good.
Good, Steve Teel time. Talk to me about what recruiting might look like and what the plan is. I mean, now I feel like I'm getting into dumb question territory because, you're going to be signing guys. You're going to be bringing them in.
Less than a year, yeah.
Less than a year. Okay.
Kick off in 899 days. So
yeah, that's right.
You are the official countdown clock. I know you started that.
So. I did it off of you, so hopefully your number was right because I didn't go back and look at the calendar.
I hope you're right because people ask me down there how many days, and I look at your text. They're like, oh, we're 912. So I hope you're right. So if y'all don't know, he sends me a text every day with the countdown number and a scripture, Bible verse, or some kind of daily motivation, but he sends me that. So he's had the countdown since 9/71, so 72 straight days. You've sent me.
All right, I'm trying, man.
You sent me a message, and
what?
I think there's one day I had to remind you.
You did. Well, there's one when I accidentally counted up just the other day. I was like 904 or whatever. You're like, you mean 903? I would start going the wrong way. But, I did that based off of you on Twitter, like your press conference day, whatever number that was. And so as long as that number was right, we're still on target. Yeah. So maybe somebody out there's going to go and look at the calendar and make sure we're right. We'll make an adjustment. But, it's it's a ways to go, but you're working hard. So talk to us about what possibly, like, who do you recruit? What is that going to look like? I mean, Have you been able to sit down with your staff and talk about that, or?
Yeah, a little bit. We're not fully in the staff together yet. Probably the next couple of weeks,
Okay.
everybody will get moved down there. But we'll be out on the road. So the spring recruiting period's from April 15th to July 31st.
Okay.
I mean, May 31st. But excuse me. Nowadays, there's so much out there. I mean, we already got access to everyone's film right now. We've been studying some guys. We're getting lists. So it just starts out, really looking at the class of 2024. So the juniors right now.
Okay.
That are finishing up the junior year. So we'll get a chance to get out, watch them in spring training, start compiling our top guys that we like at each position, and then go through the summer and go through the fall, watch them play, and then we'll sign a class next December and February.
Yeah, wow.
It'll be the initial class.
That's crazy. I mean, wait, are we talking about this December? Or are we talking about?
No, this December.
Yeah.
So December 23 or February 24, probably more in February. February 24, we'll have a first signing class, and then bring them in that fall.
Yeah.
Along with others to kind of form a team for that practice year.
Okay. How many are you allowed to sign? Is it different than everybody else? I hope you get to sign more guys, because how do you build a program otherwise?
But you also, you got to think long term. You can't just think now. So you've got to think, okay, where do we want to be in 4 years when we have 4 classes?
Yeah. Okay.
And so you look at scholarship numbers, and you want to kind of even those out, so you don't want to go take, we only get 63 scholarships at FCS, so, we don't want to put 30 of them in one class.
Okay.
So we've got to make sure that we utilize our scholarships properly, thinking long term. To me, I think, really having a plan for 4 years down the road of where we want to be. Now, the transfer portal does give us a different option than we had at UTSA. So, the first 2 classes, we, as we bring those in, we can use the portal to kind of give you some upperclassmen. So the first year we can have some upperclassmen, which we didn't have at UTSA starting out. So there's different options we can use. All that stuff will get worked out. Everything, and it's fluid. Some things will evolve, they'll change, they'll adjust as any part of this program will. But we'll have a plan. We'll have a plan ready, and like I said, 899 days. We'll have 63 scholarships somewhere.
I love it. Well, and actually, last thing, I know the Valley's just been so excited about this. I mean, can you speak to that? They're just going crazy, it seems like.
Well, yeah, you asked me the question a minute ago.
I did.
Comparing,
I didn't know if I could ask it on air, Coach.
Comparing the excitement to UTSA to Rio Grande Valley, I'm going to say the excitement down there is a lot bigger, a lot more for football. I think go back to UTSA, like talk about with Larry Coker. Larry Coker was a legend. Yeah, I'm not a legend. I think everyone down there is
day ain't over.
They are excited about anybody. I think it's the wait so long in football. They love football down there. It's passion. They're passionate about football. So I think the excitement is just crazy over right now, but it has nothing to do with me. It's all about the job Chase has done down there, the athletic department, all the other sports, our coaches, the merger between the schools and the UTRGV name, I think, and then now adding football. I think the excitement is about what not only the university can be, what football can bring to the university, but really that whole region, a whole region that people have probably a misconception on too, with a lot of things you see on the news. But the Valley's a wonderful place, and wonderful people, and I think the biggest excitement there is A, to have college football in your backyard, but B, what that's going to do for the entire region and the university.
Yeah, you got a beautiful stadium down there too. I mean, I love those Field of Dreams shots. You've been putting those pictures up, I'm sure. Got Coach Bush out there, Field of Dreams style, and videos. Some of the great videos that your department down there has done has been phenomenal to watch.
Yeah, they do a good job. Our media department does great. I mean, everybody, that's a first-class university. And I think there's a lot of things that people don't know about, but because we don't have football. And the same way UTSA, I think that now everyone else is going to get so much more exposure, which they deserve.
Right.
But yeah, I'm excited to have some other guys on staff now, so they can start putting their face on stuff instead of mine.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I do want to say this though. I mean, I know you're very humble. That's something that your wife and I have talked about on the sidelines during the game. Just your humility, which is something when your wife says it. I mean, it's legit when your wife says, "Man, it's his humility."
She makes sure of it.
She keeps you humble, kind of like that. Well, I know that's you're very humble, but I do know, even from watching, your press conference, I did get to watch that live, and your opening, press conference was incredible. It was I think it's the best press conference I've ever seen. Like, you won the press conference, and I know you're humble, but I do know people respond to your leadership, and they're responding to your leadership, and they're going to continue to. Hats off to your AD for recognizing your leadership ability and your communication ability. And I've seen it in so many different ways, whether on camera, but also I've seen you addressing your team after they lose, and I've seen your leadership, in the fire, and you just do such an outstanding job. So credit to the good people at UTRGV to recognize, man, this guy is a rising star, and he's the guy we want. So you're humble, but I know they made a great decision, and it's just going to be really exciting to see all of it. So, all right, you got any closing thoughts? I probably have a few other, but that's it, I think.
What do you got?
What do you got?
It's all Steve Teel right here. I'm just excited to be on with you live.
Oh, this has been a blast. So I know I told you, I set you up. I said, maybe 25 minutes, but we're at 1 hour and 4 minutes right now.
Seems like 15. It's
good.
Flown by.
That's good. That's what we want. No, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. We covered recruiting.
Got your orange on today. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
We'll get you some more.
When I get down to the valley, I'm going to pick up my polo shirt. I'm going to have my polo shirt, but I still got this today. And we got our color graphics coordinated. You'll see that later. So all about UTRGV. And, man, you were talking off air on the phone. So when do you unveil helmets and stuff, designs? Because you had a phone call, important phone call. I was eavesdropping.
You've got the first, you've got the insight to what they're going to look like. Yeah, we've got some things rolling right now and still working through some things. But yeah, we're going to have some, got some helmet samples we're working on designing right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully get those out here before. As we get on the road recruiting, so we'll have some. But those are all things, you look at every single piece of a Division I college football program. We have nothing, so we've got to build, we got to design, we got to plan, we got to order, we got to do everything. So and that's the fun part, I enjoy that.
Yeah, I want to say one other thing. Sorry, just seeing you out in the community with your community, but also all the other teams. You can tell you're not just about football. You're obviously about the university, which I think is great. Not surprising, but great.
Oh yeah, no, I love it. No, I'm excited to be a small piece of it and be a part of it and be a part of that university when it grows.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. All right, any other thoughts? That's all I got.
I'm good.
Hour and 6 minutes later. I love it, man. I'm glad it has flown by. It has for me. Love this guy a lot. You can keep it on both of us. I'll just look over here. Thanks, Mark. Got the marksman doing his magic as always.
Good job,
appreciate
Mark.
You. Yeah, right. Man, I know he's kind of the real celebrity.
I don't know what you're doing, but you've been pushing a lot of buttons and turning a lot of switches.
He's making it happen. But I just want to say, I love this guy so much and very proud.
I love this guy.
Man, and just honored to be in your corner, watch what God is doing. And we've been through a lot of coaches' Bible studies together, the staff that you put together at Canyon. I love those guys. It's just really special, and I know they're going to continue, to build on what you started, and it's going to be phenomenal. There's just greatness there, and there's greatness now that God's taking you down to UTRGV. It's going to be really phenomenal. So, man, I love those guys at Canyon, so shout out to them as well. All right, man, what Coach Bush is about is impacting lives, and I'm speaking for him now, making a difference. I've seen it up close and personal, and he's going to continue to do that. And also not just him, but those coaches out there that care, those coaches that love, those coaches that lead. Man, your impact is huge. We are talking about thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people, husbands, wives. The coaches across the board, families, kids, how these coaches treat people makes a big difference. I'll just go back to, I love that story about the kicker that you were talking about, doinking that one off and you going up and building him up. And that whole thing just makes a difference in someone's life. And I've seen other college athletes that have just been beat down and discouraged, and that's not what you're doing. That's not what you're about. So
How many
phenomenal.
staffs do you do coaches outreach with? How many staff do you do?
Well, we 5.
Five
Now
staff.
Brandeis doesn't do it in the spring, so we're only doing 4 right now. Yeah.
Okay, we'll go back to 5 staff.
Yeah.
How many coaches
oh,
you
yeah,
do?
Yeah.
We'll understand what we learn from you is a lot of things we give back to the young men. So you have a big piece of everything that goes on. And any coach that has come in contact with you has been blessed. And I know those staffs and those young men or young women that they're mentoring are better because of your leadership, and we appreciate that.
I appreciate that. This guy, man.
This
appreciate
guy.
that. I love you, man. All right. Well, what he's doing really, and we've talked about more off camera, just, man, his relationship with God. And I know for me and for him, you go back to how God loves us and the love that he has for us and how he forgives us and how he walks with us and how he has plans for us and how he has a story for us and ideas for us. And it's all those things, ability to see God at work, God's hand at work, and being ready to, man, kind of like Peter, walk out on that water and say to Jesus, hey, if you want me out on that water, I'm coming. And Jesus to say, come on, let's go, big boy, let's go. And that's what you've done with answering these calls, is stepping out onto the water. So I want to encourage you, maybe God is calling you to something a little different, something bigger or smaller, just different, but God is calling you to do it. So I want to encourage you to do what Coach Bush is doing and answer that call. And you're going to impact lives. You're going to make a difference. That's what he's doing. And, man, it's just exciting to see. So the scripture that we are very bold, it comes from 2 Corinthians 3:12. If you want to get a hold of me, you can reach out to steve@verybold.com. And it comes from 2 Corinthians 3:12. Therefore, since we have such a hope, we are very bold.
Therefore, since we have such a hope, we are very bold.